I had just wrapped up another grueling day at the office, the taste of anticipation souring slightly as I navigated the congested evening traffic. All I wanted was to lose myself in the virtual world of Racing 3, where I was not just another face in the crowd but a top contender, my username feared on the leaderboards. Upon entering the dimly lit living room, the familiar beep and flicker of the console screen greeted me, but something was off. My heart sank, a game was already in progress. The controller lay abandoned on the couch, vibrating with the on-screen action, evidence of a recent player. Puzzled, I checked the standings and my recent game history. Not only had my rank taken a nosedive, but a significant chunk of my hard-earned in-game currency was missing. "Jenna!" I called out, expecting my wife to explain maybe a cousin or a friend had dropped by. But the house echoed back in silence, devoid of her presence. My mind raced as I scrolled through the game logs. The timestamps showed activity during the hours I was at work, the same hours Jenna said she'd be at her yoga classes. This discrepancy gnawed at me, a seed of doubt taking root. Determined to understand, I waited for her return, the image of my tarnished leaderboard rank burning behind my eyelids. When Jenna finally walked in, her face flushed from what I assumed was more than just stretching and meditative breathing. I confronted her. "Been playing Racing 3, have you?" I asked, my tone more of an accusation than a question. Her eyes widened, a flash of panic quickly masked by confusion. "What? No, I don't even know how to start your console," she stammered. But before I could press further, the doorbell rang. Jenna's glance towards the door was all the confirmation I needed. "Aren't you going to get that?" I pressed, my voice icy. She hesitated, then walked over and opened the door. Standing there was a guy probably no older than 20, his eyes darting curiously between Jenna and me. "Hey, I left my phone here." His voice trailed off as he caught the stern look on my face. "Come in," I gestured, not taking my eyes off Jenna. "Seems like we all have something to discuss." As he entered, he looked around awkwardly, his gaze settling on the console. "You got the new update for Racing 3. Last time I was here, I tried the new track, it's..." "Last time?" I cut in, my tone sharp, the pieces clicking together painfully. Jenna's affair wasn't just emotional or physical, it had invaded my sanctuary, my escape. Jenna tried to interrupt, her face a mix of embarrassment and fear, but I raised a hand to stop her. Turning to her young lover, I asked coldly, "So, you've been sleeping with my wife to play my games?" The color drained from his face as he realized the situation's gravity. Jenna began to sob, her facade crumbling. "I was going to tell you. It got out of hand." The betrayal stung, not just of the heart, but of my passion. My sanctuary had been tainted, my trust shattered along with my rank. That night, after a confrontation filled with tears and confessions, I made my decision. Jenna's betrayal was too deep, too personal. As I watched her lover scurry away, possibly more scared of losing access to the console than the affair being uncovered, I knew what I needed to do. The divorce was swift, her departure from my life as quick as one of my races. I reset my console settings, erasing not just the ghost data of cars she'd never driven, but also the last remnants of a marriage broken by the most unexpected of intrusions. As the screen loaded back to the main menu, a sense of determination settled over me. It wasn't just about reclaiming my leaderboard position, it was about taking back my life, one race at a time. The cold silence of my now single-bedroom apartment was punctuated by the relentless tapping of rain against the window. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil within me as I stared at the screen, my username blinking back at me, a constant reminder of the recent upheaval. The virtual racetrack, once a refuge, now felt like a battlefield. With Jenna gone, the evenings stretched endlessly, each minute ticking by with the weight of the betrayal still fresh. Yet, the sting fueled my resolve to rebuild what had been lost, not just in the game, but in my life. Tonight was not just about reclaiming my rank, but setting a new record. As I logged into Racing 3, a familiar username caught my eye: Jenna's lover, the one she had cheated with. Seeing his avatar on the leaderboard was like a red flag waving before a bull. Anger flared within me, but it was soon replaced by a cunning smile. If he was still playing, I could use this to my advantage. I grabbed my headset, switched on the microphone, and initiated a direct challenge to him. "Care for a race?" I called out, my voice steady and challenging. There was a pause, a moment of hesitation before he responded. "You? I thought you'd never want to see my username again." "Oh, I'm just here for the game," I replied, my words dripping with a venom I hoped he could feel even through the digital ether. "Unless you're too scared to face me on the track." His avatar revved its engine, a silent agreement to the challenge. As the countdown began, I leaned forward, my fingers gripping the controller. This race wasn't just for points, it was for pride. We blasted through the virtual streets, my car tailing his closely. Every sharp turn and narrow escape felt cathartic, as if with every drift, I was shedding the remnants of betrayal. "You're good," his voice came through the headset, almost impressed. "Not good enough to keep your interest off my wife, apparently," I shot back, the words harsh but necessary. An awkward silence followed, broken only by the screeching of our virtual tires. The race ended with my car crossing the finish line first, a small victory in the grand scheme but a victory nonetheless. I didn't just call to race, I started, the adrenaline from the win sharpening my next words. "I want you to know, whatever you had with her, it's over. She's gone, and you're never using my console again." "Yeah, I got that part," he responded, his voice subdued. "I'm sorry, man. I never meant for any of this to." "Save it," I cut him off. "Just stay away from me and any game I might be playing." The line went dead, and I tossed the headset aside, a mix of satisfaction and bitterness swirling inside me. The digital world had provided a temporary escape, a means of confrontation that I couldn't have in the physical world. But this was just the beginning. Jenna had left more than just emotional scars, she had left debts, lies, and a tangled web of complications that I needed to address. My next steps were clear: secure my finances, rebuild my social circle, and maybe, just maybe, find out why she did it. As the storm outside began to wane, a sense of clarity took over. Revenge was a race, and I was just getting warmed up. As the new dawn crept through the blinds, casting lines of light across the wooden floor of my apartment, I sat at the kitchen table surrounded by paperwork. The bills and statements piled before me were remnants of a shared life now split down the middle. With every document, I peeled back layers of deception, my mind racing as much as my heart once did on the racetracks of Racing 3. The coffee machine hissed in the background, a minor distraction from the task at hand. I sifted through the bank statements, looking for anomalies, when a series of transactions caught my eye. Payments to a tech company, substantial amounts that made no sense. Jenna had claimed they were for a new yoga studio she was investing in. The truth seemed far murkier. I picked up my phone and dialed the number of the tech company. The phone rang, cutting through the silence of the morning. "Good morning, Tech Solutions, how can I help you?" a cheerful voice answered. "Hi, I'm reviewing my financial statements and noticed several payments to your company. Could you confirm what these services were for?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Certainly, sir. I'll need some account details to pull up the information." I provided the details, my fingers tapping impatiently on the table. After a brief pause, the voice returned, not nearly as cheerful. "Sir, these are monthly payments for a premium software package, typically used for advanced gaming and streaming setups." A chill ran down my spine. Gaming and streaming? That was my domain, not Jenna's. Also, I thought, was there any particular user or account associated with these services? I pressed, needing to know more. "Yes, the account is registered under the name Jenna M. Game Queen. Game Queen." My throat tightened at the moniker. This was no mere oversight. Jenna had her own gaming life, hidden behind the facade of yoga and meditation. "Thank you," I said tersely, ending the call. The revelation spun in my head. Jenna's betrayal wasn't just personal, it was a calculated invasion into my world, my interests. Fueled by a new surge of betrayal, I logged onto my console, searching for the username for Jenna M. Game Queen. There it was, her avatar, a mocking reflection of her duplicity. The profile was public, flaunting achievements and streams that dated back months, maybe even years. My hand shook as I scrolled through her gaming history, the extent of her deception laid bare. Not just playing but streaming, engaging an audience, building a community in secret. It was then I decided her deception needed to be exposed. I started recording a video, my voice firm, detailing every lie, every secret account, every betrayal that unfolded. I uploaded the video to the same gaming forum she frequented, exposing Game Queen for who she really was. The reactions were immediate. Messages pinged in, a mix of support and shock. The gaming community I had once felt alienated from rallied around me, their support a balm to the sting of betrayal. But this was not just about public shaming or community support. It was about reclaiming my space, my passions. Jenna had taken much from me, but she would no longer take my identity as a gamer. As I shut down the console, a plan began to form. Jenna's deceit had repercussions beyond our failed marriage. There were financial and legal threads to untangle, and I was ready to pull each one. The race for retribution was on, and I was at the helm, driven not by revenge, but by a need for justice. The next step was clear: secure my finances and ensure such betrayal never blindsided me again. The late afternoon sun slanted through the blinds of my office, casting long shadows across the room where I sat, surrounded by legal documents and digital records. Today marked the culmination of weeks of meticulous planning and investigation into Jenna's hidden life. The revelations had not only fueled my resolve but had also provided the ammunition I needed for the final confrontation. My phone vibrated with an incoming call. It was from Mark, my attorney, who had been instrumental in unraveling Jenna's financial entanglements. "Everything's set for the meeting today. Are you ready?" "I've never been more prepared," I responded, my voice steady, the simmering anger of the past weeks channeled into a cold, calculated determination. At the designated hour, I entered the conference room in Mark's office, where Jenna sat, looking composed yet wary. She was flanked by her lawyer, oblivious to the storm that was about to descend. "Let's get to the point," I began, sliding a folder across the table towards Jenna. Inside were bank statements, digital receipts, and screenshots from her secret gaming life. "You've been living a double life, Jenna. And it's not just about the affair." Jenna's lawyer leafed through the documents, his brow furrowing. Jenna glanced at the papers, her facade cracking. "What do you want, Alex?" "Full transparency and the truth," I said, leaning forward. "Today, right here." Her lawyer whispered something to her, but Jenna shook her head, silencing him. "Fine." "I didn't just stumble into gaming because of him," she nodded slightly towards the mention of her young lover. "I've been into it for years. I kept it from you because you made it your world, and I needed something of my own." "That doesn't justify the lies, the money," I countered. "I know," she admitted, her voice small. "I thought I could manage both worlds without hurting anyone. As for the money," I continued, my tone hardening, "you funneled our savings into your ventures without my consent. That's theft, Jenna." Her eyes widened, realizing the gravity of her missteps. I pushed forward the final piece of paper, a settlement agreement. "You'll clear the debts, the accounts will be separated, and you'll leave the gaming community. I've already exposed your actions online. Your reputation there is beyond repair." Jenna looked between the document and me, her face pale. "And if I refuse?" "Then we go to court. I have enough evidence to support my claims of financial misconduct. You'll lose much more." Her hands trembled as she took the pen and signed the agreement, defeat etched in every line of her face. As she and her lawyer left the room, Mark placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" "Yeah," I replied, watching Jenna's retreating figure. "It's finally over." But the victory was bittersweet. As I walked back to my car, the weight of the past months felt both lighter and heavier. Jenna was out of my life, the lies exposed, the deceit addressed. Yet, the solitude of my victory was stark. I slid behind the wheel, the engine coming to life with a familiar purr. A thought struck me, a final twist to ensure Jenna's deception wouldn't repeat. Pulling out my phone, I dialed a number. Tech Solutions, how can I help you? The same cheerful voice as before answered. Hi, I'd like to discuss a sponsorship, I began, a slow smile spreading across my face. I'm planning to start a foundation. It'll support individuals recovering from personal betrayals through community support and gaming. I think your company could really help spearhead this initiative. As I drove off into the sunset, the game had indeed changed. From the ashes of betrayal, a new purpose was born, and this time, I was in control, turning my pain into a pathway for others. Jenna's deception had led to her downfall, but in its wake, it had given rise to something far greater than revenge, a legacy of resilience and rebirth.